Hey, yo, I'm going to keep it real with y'all. I don't trust a single thing that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth, right? When asked if the U.S. bombed a little girls' school in Iran, this is what he had to say.
Mr. President, did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 175 people?
Based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
You can tell he's not.
Mr. Except it was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still
But
investigating.
the only side that targets civilians is Iran.
We think it was done. We think it was done by Iran.
Tell that line.
Inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. It was done by Iran.
You can't trust them. I'm telling you, does that sound like somebody that was telling the truth to y'all? Honestly.
Surprise, surprise. The Trump White House lied about the U.S. military blowing up a school in Iran that killed nearly 200 young girls, innocent civilians, blown up by a U.S. airstrike. And Caroline Leavitt, remember just a few days ago, I covered this. She said, that is completely false. We never blew up a girls' school. Iran targets civilians. We do not. Well, a U.S. intelligence investigation now suggests otherwise. And if the U.S. government is admitting it, and if the U.S. intelligence is suggesting that we did this, well, they're not even lying about it. They're not even trying to hide what happened. And Caroline Leavitt, shame on you. Shame on you. Haven't even corrected the record yet. Haven't even put out a statement saying, you know what, we did blow up that girls' school. The United States of America is targeting civilians. We are acting like terrorists. We are blowing up innocent people all over the Middle East. And specifically now in Iran, Donald Trump is conducting acts of terrorism against the civilian population. And you're here to tell me that we have the most modern and advanced military in the world, and these are targeted strikes? Well, then you targeted a girls' school. You targeted a civilian area because you are trying to terrorize the Iranian population. You are trying to inflict fear upon them so that they know we own the sky and that we can destroy their entire country if we feel like it. Mind you, Donald Trump is now increasing our weapons stockpile, and he is gearing up for this to be a year-long war. They're talking about this going till September, okay? This is war, and anybody who tells you otherwise is lying to you.
Yeah, so y'all heard it. That's the writing on the wall, man. And if you believe that this occupation, this war, going to last only a week, 2 weeks, you're crazy as hell, dog. The war in Iraq and Afghanistan did not last that long, bro. They said it may last 6 days. It could last 6 weeks. I highly doubt it'll last 6 months. That's what they said. And how long did that last? I don't know if y'all need a reminder, but it lasted over a decade. Gas prices is through the roof. They talking about $130 a barrel coming to a gas station near you really soon. $5 a gallon, bro. Come on, man. It don't make no sense.
Remember that school that got bombed on the first day Trump announced the attack on Iran? We need to talk about that because 175 people are dead, most of them little girls. And when a reporter asked the White House, did the United States bomb that school? The answer was,
Did the United States airstrike a girls' elementary school and kill 175 people?
Not that we know of, Sean.
not that we know of. Not no, not absolutely not. Not we would never. Not that we know of. Let's get into it. February 28th, Southern Iran, Saturday morning. First day of the Iranian work week. Kids are in school, little girls sitting in class, then a missile hit, then another. The roof collapses, the walls blow out, 175 people buried in the rubble, most of them children. The New York Times did a full visual investigation using satellite imagery, verified videos, and expert analysis. The school was hit at the exact same time as a military base right next door, and a former Pentagon advisor, someone who worked on civilian harm prevention, looked at the satellite images and called the strikes picture perfect. And here's the twist. That school used to be part of the base back in 2013, but by 2016, it was walled off, converted into an elementary school with a sports field, murals, 170 girls inside. The US military's targeting data apparently never got that update. Someone was still working off a map from 2013. And the chairman of the Joint Chiefs confirmed US forces were striking that exact southern corridor that morning. His own map put that region in the zone. Israel's spokesperson told reporters, "I don't know who's responsible. Ask the US." So reporters asked.
Can you give us an update on what the administration knows, what you know now about the reported strike on a girls' school in southern Iran on Saturday?
All I can say is that we're investigating that.
Not that we know of, Sean.
Those were the responses for 175 dead people, most of them little girls. An Oxford law expert said attackers are legally required to verify civilian presence before striking. Not suggested, required. The satellite images exist. The expert analysis exists. The Joint Chiefs' own map exists. You don't get to say not that we know of when the evidence is this clear. Receipts, not speculation.
Yeah, there you have it. I want to know what y'all think about this situation. Do y'all believe the Trump administration? Do y'all believe that they're telling you the truth? Anytime I listen to them speak, nothing ever makes sense. It never adds up. And it's literally like with every single facet of that administration. For instance, I was watching something one time. It's unrelated, but it's related because I think this is all a cover up. Like it's a distraction from the Epstein files and whatnot, right? They're always going to be a war when they need you to be thinking about something else other than what truly matters. But the trafficking. But what I will say is this: whenever they're getting asked simple questions, they never know the simple answer. Like, for instance, whenever they was asking Kash Patel about the 4 interviews of this young girl who allegedly was graped by President Trump and why they had only released one of those interviews and not the other 3 interviews after a lot of people said that she was a credible witness or whatever like that. And Kash Patel says, I don't know. But he's the director of the FBI and he's a lawyer. And he only says things like, I don't know. Right. How come y'all haven't interviewed the one guy that said that Epstein pulled out some photos of Trump with a stain on him or whatever, and a little girl was sitting in his lap? How come we haven't interviewed that guy yet? I don't know. The director of the FBI doesn't know. You can't trust none of these people, man. And look, to prove that point to y'all, I want to show y'all Kash Patel before he became FBI director and how he was talking and what he would like to see done as soon as Donald Trump gets into office, and how he isn't doing any of the shit he would like to see done, but he has the direct power to do it.
So who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is that I mean, there's
that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic school. We still haven't seen that, right? It's not the Nashville police or PD saying we don't want this out. The FBI airmailed into that operation and said this is not getting out. Because they do that because this is another government gangster operation. All these local law enforcement communities get funding from the DOJ and FBI for local programs. And if you don't cooperate, you're not getting your $1 million for this, and you're not getting and that's a lot of money to these local districts. That's how they play the game. That's why you don't have a Black Book.
But the Black Book, it's not just sitting. I mean, that's Hoover power times 10.
And to me, that's a thing I think President Trump should run on. On day one, roll out the Black Book. And not just that. On day one, roll out all of the text messaging communications we were told were deleted. On day one, play the rest of the video of the pipe bomber. On day, one of the reforms I talk about in Government Gangsters is you need a central node to be continuously declassifying. This is another thing they do. They overclassify. And I'm telling you, as a former number 2 in the IC, they overclassify 50% of the stuff there to protect the deep state. Oh no, you can't see that. Nothing to see here. Gina was a master at it, of doing it. And we still haven't seen half of the Russiagate report that we wrote. Still under lock and key. On how the ICA was originally constructed. We put 10,000 man hours against John Brennan's team that did it. And we found out why they came up with their bogus conclusion. But we couldn't sell it to the world because we couldn't talk about it. And the government gangsters came in and buried it. All of these things, there needs to be a continuing central power, whether it's the White House or offsite, that says every request that comes in, just right out the door, as long as it's not a major threat to national security.
Now, one thing I hate is when my people drink the Kool-Aid and they fall for these easy ass, debunkable ass conspiracies. And I want to show y'all one right now that's floating out there.
Oh my God, the U.S. and Israel bombed an elementary school. First of all, they didn't bomb an elementary school.
them ghetto-ass squiggly letter people, they build their military compounds next to hospitals and schools. That is literally how evil and savage the regime is in Iran. But while we're talking about that missile, Iran has been sending all types of missiles out to everybody, and lots of the missiles have been backfiring. And you can see the trajectory of that missile. Iran killed its own people with that missile, but of course they don't send out the propaganda machine that Hamas uses. Why are they using the same propaganda machine that Hamas uses? Because they wrote the motherfucker, that's why. Give that country back to the Christians. As a matter of fact, y'all forget that Iran was a Christian nation long before it was ever conquered by them squiggly letter motherfuckers in the first place. There are people making videos online about their families back in Iran saying they are celebrating, they are jumping with joy, and they cannot wait to get that squiggly letter regime out of that country. And where are all you free Palestine motherfuckers when it comes to Iran? The entire calendar year Iran has been slaughtering their people. I ain't heard a peep from you free. Oh my God.
So after he said all of that, let me play this video. Remember, he mentioned that the school was next to a military base. I wonder if Iran is the only country who's done that.
Why would they put an all-girls elementary school in such close proximity to a military base? And this wasn't accidental. They knew exactly what they were doing. The Iranian regime sees women and girls as little more than livestock.
You know, just because you have a functioning mouth doesn't mean that you have an obligation to use it anytime you have an idea. It's okay sometimes when you have something to say to think first, or at least do some research. You're saying that Iran put a school next to a military base on purpose to make the United States look guilty when they attacked the military base and hit the school instead. And I'm assuming that that concept would apply anywhere, even here in the United States, right? Like when the US government decided to put several schools inside of Fort Meade, not just one, 3 elementary, 1 middle school, 1 high school. Or when they premeditatedly decided to put several schools from pre-kindergarten all the way to 8th grade in Fort Bragg. Or the famous elementary school in Nellis Air Force Base that's been open since the 1950s. That is premeditated too, right? That, according to your logic, is proof that the US government is using our schools the same way. You think that, right? Or is it not maybe possible that these schools are there because cities have infrastructure to assist, among others, the families that are involved in the business of military life, and also because governments count on foreign attacking forces to respect the rule of law that treats schools as protected civilian targets and make hitting them an international crime? Which one is it? Because you can't have it both ways.
There you go, man. See, that's the thing, man. A lot of people, like the guy beforehand, will hear a talking point and literally run with it without fact checking, or at least saying to myself, damn, I wonder if there are any schools here in this country or any other country who are next to a military base. I immediately thought about that. Literally, I immediately thought about that. And, you know, by happenstance, I just so happened to come across this video, and it made my job easier because I was going to go to Perplexity and ask, are there any schools close to military bases? And just my luck, this video pops up. Somebody in the comments said her thoughts are just in alignment with her teeth. That's crazy because she has some crooked ass teeth. All right, so look, the next clip I'm about to show y'all is important because it shows a man who was in the military, whose line of work was what you see happening right now. And he says that these type of mistakes are avoidable.
We have hit 2 children's schools. We have bombed 2 children's schools.
That's a war crime.
63 dead children, girls, little girls dead. Their mothers waiting for their daughters to come home. They sent their daughters to school on the belief that there wouldn't be a war because there was diplomacy going on, that there wouldn't be a war because Marco Rubio said he was traveling to the region on Monday. So they sent their girls to a school. The girls were in school and we bombed it. And we bombed another one. There's 100 girls buried under that rubble being dug out now. Girls that will not survive. This is the horror of war. But what I'm trying to say is, at least when I was involved in the bombing of the Amaria shelter, we did our damnedest to make sure that it was a military target. We were wrong, and it haunts you forever. What in God's name could lead us to bomb 2 girls' schools? I'm involved in this. I did this for a living. I know you don't make those mistakes.
He was involved. He did it for a living. He brought up an example of when his team did it by mistake, and it haunts him to his day. And the news, Fox and all of them want us to believe that this wasn't intentional. I'm not buying it, bro. I don't believe nothing that they say. Now, there's a lot of reasons why they believe Trump is so primarily focused on this war in Iran, right? You know, you got the Jeffrey Epstein cover up, the distraction, things of that nature. But like, it may just be the play out of the playbook that they've been using for decades. And I want to put this clip in here to kind of drive that point home.
Every time a president needs to redirect this country's attention, they don't hold a press conference, they don't admit failure, they don't fix the issue. They reach for the one phrase that's covered up more mess than tarp on a crime scene: national security.
Yep.
Because in America, national security doesn't always mean protection. Sometimes it means stop asking questions. And the playbook goes back way further than people think. Take Woodrow Wilson. The economy was unstable. Racial violence was ripping through cities. Labor strikes were everywhere. And instead of dealing with that, he pointed the country towards foreign radicals and internal enemies. That framing justified censorship, raids, surveillance, and deportations, all while domestic crises kept burning. That was the blueprint, and no president after him really ever let it go. And administrations across both parties used the same move. Harry Truman was dealing with inflation, a housing crisis, and a huge labor unrest. He didn't invent the Red Scare, but he sure leaned on it. He launched a federal loyalty program so broad that millions of workers could be investigated for sympathies that no one could really define. And suddenly, the story wasn't economic instability. It was communists in our government. Franklin D. Roosevelt used military necessity to justify incarcerating Japanese Americans. Despite intelligence agencies reporting no evidence of sabotage, national security language did the heavy lifting for a decision rooted in racism, politics, and panic. Dwight Eisenhower saw school segregation and racial terror threatening this country from the inside. And instead of addressing the white violence driving it, he worried publicly that the Soviet Union would exploit American unrest. It reframed a domestic crisis into geopolitical embarrassment. Richard Nixon turned crime into a national security threat. Ronald Reagan turned drugs into one. George W. Bush turned terror into the umbrella for surveillance and endless war. Donald Trump has turned immigration into this shit show. Different decades, different parties, same calculation.
Same white supremacists. That's what it is. You know, politics in America is just simply as this: rich white folks convincing less rich white folks that poor non-white folks are the problem. That's what politics have been. Guys, this is an article by CBS that says United States was likely responsible for bombing of girls' school in Iran per early U.S. assessment. The U.S. may be responsible for the bombing of a girls' school in Iran that killed 168 people, many of them children, on February 28, sources told CBS News. The preliminary U.S. assessment suggests that the United States is likely responsible for the deadly attack, but did not intentionally target the school and may have hit it in error. The most advanced military air force in the whole world did it by mistake. That's possibly due to the use of dated intelligence. Again, I repeat, the same sentiments. The most advanced military in the world had faulty, outdated evidence. That's, Lord, that's so feasible. Wrongly identified the area as still part of an Iranian military installation. A person briefed on the preliminary intelligence told CBS News. Israel's military was also not operating in the area, two sources told CBS News. An additional source familiar with the ongoing inquiry told CBS News that investigators believe the U.S. military may have been responsible because of its operating in the area while Israel's military was not, though no final conclusions have been reached. And an Israeli government source told CBS News that the Israel was not behind the attack and its military was not operating near the school, all leading back to America. White House spokesperson Anna Kelly told CBS News in a statement that the investigation is ongoing and there are no conclusions at this time, and is both irresponsible and false for anyone to claim otherwise. CBS News has confirmed the school building was located in close proximity to two sites controlled by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in Manab, a city in the southern Iranian province of, I don't know how to say that, Hormozgan. But guys, footage filmed from a parking lot showed black smoke billowing from a damaged building adorned with murals featuring drawings of crayons, children, and an apple. The CBS News confirmed team geolocated the video to a building in Manab. Iranian media identified the building as the Shajar, guys, these words, I don't know them, elementary school. Iranian state media said at least 168 people, including schoolgirls ages 7 to 12, were killed in the strike, which occurred last Saturday on the first day of the war. Saturdays are regular school days in Iran, but the most advanced military in the country would know that. A list published in Iranian state media from authorities in Iran's Manab County claimed to show the names of 57 of those killed. Human Rights Watch has said at least 48 of those names appear to be children, according to their birth dates on the list, along with their school principal and teachers. And this is the school. Crazy work. Guys, I'm going to end this video here. If you have any hypes to spare, send them this way. I need them like a crackhead need a pipe. Don't fall for the propaganda. Y'all be cool.